Alright, I got caught up on some of the things I need to get knocked out, and figured I'd go and poke around with the windshield trim patch panel for the rust that we are dealing with. And I figured I'd lay these in there and kind of look and start kind of educating myself. Now that I look at them again, I'm not all that kind of enthused with how well they fit. They suck. So, pull no punches. Fortunately, I do have a shrinker stretcher, which is what these were made out of, and we could quite possibly maneuver these back into what they should be. But if I had to do it again, I'd probably just make them myself. Because there's no, it's missing, you know, it extends past here, but it doesn't have this curve to it or that seam. You know, it's just kind of, it's not a stamped piece, let's put it that way. It's just a cut piece and then, you know, formed on a stretcher. So I think what I'm going to start with is trying to get that guy so it actually kind of matches the window frame a little bit better. You know, that's what we're dealing with. It's, I don't know, it's kind of that, but it's curved way too far. So I'm going to see if I could take some of it out right here, so we can kind of stand it up a little bit, and then we'll go from there. Alright, I just hit it with a magic marker. We're somewhere in between where I want to try to start knocking some of that out of there. Let's see what we can get. Am I smacking you in the head? I'm going to put you right there. Problem is too, it's trying to flatten it out a lot. Well, I messed with it a little bit, and I can kind of get it so that it's closer to the corner. But it's, you know what the problem is, I just can't, this has such a radius on this side that if I try to do anything like what you saw, it just wants to flatten it out. Where this I could work real easy, but this I have a hard time trying to get the curve to come back. Probably what I should have done is come in not as far on that also. But what I'm kind of thinking now is maybe I try clamping it in with vice grips and we'll just kind of beat it into submission down in the channel and see if we can kind of get it to start form fitting a little bit better. And I don't have to go up that high. I can cut some of that top off, but I'm going to go try doing the outside edge, maybe going about, I don't know, 3/8 of an inch or so, and see if that kind of helps us at all. Alright, so what I decided is to start digging out the vice grips, and we're going to force it to where it needs to go. And so that's what I did. Squeezed it in there, and then you can kind of tell by the little hammer marks that you know, we're trying to get it to roll in that corner. Yeah, it's pretty good. I'm not concerned about rolling the front edge yet. I'm still just trying to work it to match the, you know, the profile down below. And again, my thinking is try to form this whole thing, roll the lip, hit it with a magic marker so I know how far to come out, cut just shy of that on the inside, and then try to get this piece up from underneath and weld it so that there's a valley that's greater instead of smaller. And then this lip I'll just re-weld, you know, I'll re-weld this to the correct height of that after that gets ground off of there. So whether that works or not, I don't know, but I'm gonna take a try. That's a good piece of metal. This was a sharp blade of something. I'm not quite sure what it was for, but I hit it on the grinder, kind of knocked the edges down a little bit, and I'm gonna go beat on that with a hammer and try to form it into those grooves right there, and we'll see how that makes out for us. And we'll even throw more vice grips at it. So that's pretty much what I did. Tapped that sucker down, got it to form fit that corner. I just concentrated down the very bottom, and I kept dancing the vice grips around from side to side of it, and we figure we got that pretty much tucked in there. So I think what I'm going to go and try do now is do the front lip and bend that down and see if I can kind of match the profile of what's there. The only thing I wish is that the underneath of this is springy, you know what I mean? So if I had a solid section to be molding it off of, it would be exact, but this is kind of flexy underneath, so it's going to be a little on the hit and miss side. But we'll try. Not like it's that much to roll. Basically, we're just trying to get probably that last 3/8 of an inch to put a rolled edge on it. You know, worst case is I can get it to start where it is now and then kind of finish it up on a bench with some body working tools. But let me see how that makes out and see if we can get a curl on this thing. I tapped on it and it kind of moved a little bit, but not much. So I figure we're going to go try some heat and see if we can heat this guy up and kind of give it, soften it so it'll kind of want to bend a little better. I'll knock it down there. I don't want to get too much heat on the bottom though. I don't want to warp the bottom. Chopping a little bit. Yeah, that'll work. That's where we're gonna go. That looks like it's rolling down there pretty good. If you guys can see that. So we'll work right down the line on that. I'll bring the heat coming from the top and see if we can kind of curl that down there. Alright, a bunch of heating and tapping later. I got that lip to kind of match the profile. It looks pretty good. I was trying to do a fine line between, you know, getting this heated up to melt down and not get this heated up so much where this starts to distort, you know. But as it got over here, it actually got easier because everything is more rigid. You get more of a hit. It's not as bouncy. And of course, this is going to get cut back anyway, but I figure I might as well form it. I figured it'll probably help hold its shape. We're going to find out when we take the vice grips off, but I think it's looking pretty good. It's, you know, it probably bounced off of it. It's probably a 1/16 of a gap right now down the length of it as it's cooling. And then here's just something funky with the body of it. There's like a dent of sorts in it. And of course, you know, the panel on top wants to follow that. So we'll look at that when we get that taken apart. Notes. All right. So I'm gonna go pop all the vice grips off and see how bad it springs back into some other kind of shape. All right, pop that off of there and went over the wire wheel. Took a bunch of the ash that was paint off of it. Kind of just cleaned that crap off of it and laid it back down there. Yeah, of course. Just throw that anywhere. Of course it bounced back a little bit, but for the most part it's at least follows the frame of the window. The whole thing is sprung up a little bit. Actually ended up, that was like there's nothing behind there that was, you know, that I could see that was causing that other than, you know, past body work. So I just kind of tapped that down. And you know, of course now the lip of this doesn't quite match that, but it flexes into place. So I think probably my best bet would be, again, take a Sharpie on there and we'll start cleaning up some of that material, start removing some of that material under there. Let's see what we like. But just for instance, that's what we got and that's what we started with. Yeah. So that to that. Yep, so I'm going to go around with a Sharpie and that'll be my my witness mark where I can't go past that line, and I figure probably cut in 1/8 inch on the inside of that line, or maybe even a little further, you know, might not take enough off than too much. And I have no problem having this underlap the back side of it and weld up on top and give me somewhere to grind. And I'd rather have the seal a little too loose than a little too tight, because you can't shrink the glass, but you can grow the seal a little bit, or fill in under the seal a little bit. But judging by how tight the other one was, I don't think we're going to have an issue with that. I think that I don't have the seal here yet, unfortunately, but it's been nice to lay it on top of it to see where it fills in. All right, enough talking. Let me mark that out and do some trimming. Let's make some noise. Like that. Right, I got all that cleaned up and cut back somewhat on the corner there. I'm trying to get my flashlight out of my pocket. What it does is it meets another wall inside there, so you're only going to be able to backfill it so far. So I'm kind of cut up to that edge, and then like you saw, I ripped off all the spot welds on the backside and just kind of came back with a flapper disc and cleaned them up. And then cleaned up the front side to where it's looks like it's decent metal to weld to. Probably the worst spots like right there, but that's no big deal. Again, that red line is basically right on the inside of that red line is my distance I can go. So the overlap looks decent. And you see down below, look at all that Bondo in there. It must be factory, huh? Yeah, look at those pieces. So I'm going to go fish that crap out of there before I close it back up. What I figure I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this back. I'm going to eyeball it and trim that back. You know, I can get rid of that much already. And slice it on the side. And see if I can walk that piece in underneath. It may or it may not go. If it doesn't, I think what I'll do is I may slice this, I don't know, maybe about right here, and we'll work this one corner first. That way we can kind of come underneath and clamp it and help support it, and then the straight shot should be easier to do. The only problem is you can't, there's no real way to kind of grab it from underneath to help clamp it to the front skin, because that's all an enclosed box. Yeah. That's the back side of it. Other than where the wiper holes are, I could probably grab, you know, one or two spots there, but other than that, it's all pretty much got to come from the top. And I thought maybe what I can do is I could take that stud welder and I can put a couple of weld a couple of studs on it. I can pull up on those guys to kind of help me suck it up to the top lip, but we'll worry about that when we get there. Let's continue to carve this down and get it so see if it'll fit in there first before we bother with that. And that thing's all tucked in and squeezed underneath there. It looks pretty good. I'm happy with it. I screwed up in one spot right there. I cut too high. I cut this too short, but it actually ended up being a kind of a saving grace, because this area was all kind of sitting down too far, and I was able to get one of my specialty tools in underneath there, and I was able to work the thing up and clamp it. So, you know, sometimes things work out for the better. I think I'm going to work from the side, from the middle to the side, and when I get like this supported, I just want to tap this down a little bit, because that line, don't pay attention to this, but this line has to be flush with that line, and right now it's a little proud. Plus I was prying up underneath it, so I think the rest of it is okay. This flange is a little taller than stock, Like if you look at what the factory was, well, what's left of what the factory was over here, you can kind of see where it is, and even behind it you can see where it is. And again, we're trying to maintain that line, and that seems to be what I'm doing. And if you look at it from the back side, you can see that exposure kind of all over. So I think what I'll do is, after all is said and done, after it's all welded up, then I'll just take the flapper disc and I'll grind this lip down to the lip on the inside, and that way I know when the seal is in there. If you look at a side view of the seal or a cutaway, it basically looks like letter H with the two things close together. So it's like that, you know, the seal comes up and around on the bottom and then does the same around the glass up and over. So this distance to the glass is probably your biggest issue. You probably have, I don't know, I'm gonna guess a 1/4 of an inch between the two, maybe 3/8 of an inch, I'm not quite sure. But this can't be so tall into the glass, or else you'll never get it, you never get the glass to pop in, you know. So having said that, I think I will try and dig out the spot welder. I have not used that much yet, because I've never had a panel where I've been able to kind of grab it from the pinch weld and go back. Usually it's in the middle somewhere. So I think it's right, should be right down here somewhere. Yeah, there it is. Oh, it weighs a ton. So we'll take that sucker out and we'll try that going down the seam and see how it works. But I think I'm going to practice on a couple of scrap pieces before I do that, and we'll see. Yeah, that way I'm not messing up the car, I'm messing up something else at first. So I did, this is about 4 or 5 inches right there, and works pretty good. The problem I forgot to do was to grind the back side of the, this side. You know, the face is all ground, but the back wasn't, so I wasn't getting any contact. So let's see what we get now. Alright. That's the only thing I'm running into. Kind of wiggle it around a little bit, then you get it. That's what you get when you work with rusty, crusty metal. But this seems to do it, and doesn't make any kind of, it's factory, you know. So, I hit them over with a flapper disc, but that gives you the idea of the seam. Kind of squeezes it back together. There's any marks in the, it's got some marks on the back side too. This is really thin. Looks like it's kind of blowing through actually a little. That's all right, as long as it's together. So I'm going to continue that all the way down to, probably I'll stop it about right here, and then I'll get the MIG welder out and we'll do the front of it. And so, and this evening I got it all kind of tacked and welded in on that side. Yeah, it looks good. Yeah, it's a little wavy, it's to be expected, you know, for the piece of crap that I started with. Yeah, I think I'm gonna just leave it tacked until the other side is done, just in case I do need to cut it and move and slightly fudge it anything. I don't think I will, but you know, if I weld it, and then I will definitely have to move it, right? And I gotta come back and just put a couple of more up in there, and then grind, you know, and grind that lip all the way down. And of course I went a little too fast. I probably should have made a piece for in there and filled that while this was all open, but so be it. Actually there's access behind it, so that should be fine. Or where they ground into it. So all I gotta do now is make that side look the same. That's kind of before and after, huh? Before, after. And the profile looks decent. Again, until the glass is in, it's gonna be kind of hard to tell, but I'm doing the best I can for now. 5 years from now, I may look at this and say, oh my God, But then again, 5 years ago, I would have been like, wow. It's nature of all this stuff, isn't it? All right, guys. Again, thanks everybody for coming on the journey with me. I like doing the metalwork. Metalwork is very fulfilling after you get it done. Not like Bondo. I hate doing the bodywork Bondo part of it. Still sanding, you know. So, till we meet again, guys. Thanks for watching. Later.